Good afternoon and welcome to Joy News today. Coming up, 2 dead and others injured during a brawl over narcotics in the Ashanti region. We have details. Also in this bulletin, what's the status of the country's economic outlook? We'll tell you as economic analyst questions government's decision to impose new taxes in the wake of weak structures to seal existing leakages in the public purse with reference to the last Auditor General's reports. Also in this bulletin, minority in Parliament says it will not be intimidated to approve bad government policies regardless the prosecution of members. More as former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Kasil Atufossen appears in court today over the procurement of some ambulances during the last NDC-led administration. Also, communal labour at its peak as residents of Bremen Jamara joined forces to rebuild their weak school structure with support from funds mobilised under the Multimedia Group's classroom project. We have details on the progress of construction. We also have business, sports, world news and showbiz all in this hour. My name is Mapiso Sibiri. Stay for details. In our first story, a 26-year-old man has been stabbed to death at Kotri in the Ashanti region following a brawl in an alleged sale of narcotics. Nana Bwachi was allegedly stabbed in the chest for failing to sell marijuana to a suspected drug addict in the area known as Sharif. Residents later lynched Sharif in a mob action. We'll give you those details when my colleague Prince Apia joins us with more. Prince, good afternoon. Can you please give us an update of the story? Prince, if you can hear me, can you please give us... Prince, if you can hear me, can you please give us an update of the story?
So, Mark, if you can hear me, what is happening now is that the Ashanti Police Command has taken over this particular incident, and they've managed to arrest some suspected individuals. The investigations have started in earnest. The police are saying that anybody that has any information with regards to persons that might be connected to this particular incident should help out, and they are going to ensure that the rid of all criminals in that particular area.
All right. So have the police said anything about the investigations and how far it is, or they're still looking for this for these people?
So the police, as I said, have already started the investigation.
Okay.
They have suspects already in therefore they are trying to arrest them.
All right. Thank you very much. That's my colleague Prince Pierre giving us an update of that story. So other stories now. The minority in Parliament says it will not be intimidated to approve bad government policies despite the prosecution of some of its members. Former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Kasil Atufossen was today present in court for his role in the procurement of some ambulances by the NDC administration. The case was adjourned after an accused person charged alongside Dr. Fossen failed to show up in court. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, who led a team of MPs to support Dr. Fossen, insists prosecution of NDC MPs will not affect their quest to hold government accountable. We'll bring you that story later in our bulletin. In other stories, the international rating agency Fitch has downgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B negative from B with a negative outlook. The downgrade of Ghana's IDRs and negative outlook reflects the sovereign's loss of access to international capital markets in the second half of 2021, following a pandemic-related surge in government debts. Speaking on the AM show today, an associate professor in economics, Professor Fistus Ebotoxin, said they questioned government's decision to keep taxing the ordinary citizens at a time very little is being done to seal the leakages in the public purse. He spoke with my colleague Benjamin Akakpo.
So when I say we need to increase tax mobilization effort, I'm not meaning that we need to introduce new taxes and all of that. Like you rightly said, we need to be very efficient. We need to ensure that our public sector is very efficient. And those slippages that leave the system that should have been revenue that is collected is minimized. I mean, there is no doubt that these things will happen. And there should be institutions in place to ensure that if it does happen, people are punished to serve as a deterrent. And even there are policies in place to ensure that those leakages do not occur. So you actually said it, we should be very efficient in the mobilization of our domestic resource basket. But most importantly, I think that in all of this, providing the right support to the Ghana Revenue Agency should help. We need to also take advantage of our digitization drive to also ensure that businesses that go online, the government is able to collect the taxes that have to be collected. And as Ghanaians, we need to also come to a realization that we can only fund our development and no one else. I mean, if we're raising enough revenue to fund our development, this issue of our international capital market and all of that will not come up. So it's important that as Ghanaians, I'm not calling for the introduction of new taxes, but we should be up to our civil responsibilities to try as much as possible to pay taxes when we are supposed to pay, especially for those in the informal sector. And so, and for us to be a little bit protected by ensuring that in whatever role we play, wherever it is, we ensure that some of these leakages out of the tax revenue stream are minimized.
Right.
And it's very, very important. And also, it's important that the government will also ensure that the public sector is very efficient in its expenditure. Rationalize our expenditure and make sure that we are being very efficient.
Right.
So that at the end of the day, our fiscal deficit would be manageable, and then it begins to give a clear signal to the credit rating agencies that Ghana is doing something about it.
Okay.
I've had discussions about Ghana going back to the IMF for credibility, because that is what can only assure the investors that we are doing something about our situation and there's no need for panic. I mean, if it gets to that point, and that's what we need, I don't have any problem if the government will go back to the IMF. For the IMF to assure that the plans that the government has put in place would be carried out to its conclusion, so that we can have a little bit of reduced interest rate on the international capital market.
Right.
Economic policy analyst and lecturer at the University of Ghana, Lord Mensah, also speaking on the same show, observed that rates for taxes such as the e-levy are too high. He believes even if the public must be taxed, it should be done at a gradual pace.
A country like Ghana will be relying on taxes and levies to build its economy. I mean, we were here when we had promises like from taxation to production. And if we are to move from taxation to production, then we should expect that, you know, the drivers of revenue generation for this economy should be production. But we didn't see that. But then let's look at the e-levy per se. Yeah, clearly, the e-levy, I'm not against e-levy. I mean, every economy, when you exhaust all your resources, I mean, we had diamond, we had gold, we had, you know, I mean, recently petrol and all those. You realize that relying on it for some time, I mean, it's going to dwindle. I mean, you cannot continue to rely on revenue from these, you know, natural resources forever. And so once you lose your natural resources, the replacement is human resources. Yes, and fine, I'm for it. But in the end, the economy must be well engaged. The people within the economy must be well engaged before you start introducing, such taxes. And then also, being the first time of it, thought, you don't just jump to 1.75. You could have whet the people's appetite for some time. Now, as we speak now, Ghanaians are new to this levy. And therefore, if you want to introduce it, make sure that you introduce it in a manner where anytime, you rake in, you put in an investment, you float investment to indicate that your money is doing. And so therefore, you gradually whet their appetite. So I would have loved, government should have done a bit of consult. And taxes evolves around human activities. So as a result of that, if you are going to, raise revenue through levies and taxes, I'm not against it. But sometimes the margins that the government wants to rake in, and then sometimes the hardships that the economic agents are facing may not necessarily help in introducing things like that. So for instance, if you want to introduce taxes or levies, you should expect that every now and then economic agent, if I say economic agent, I'm talking about, government is of the economic agent, also part economic agent, and then individuals are also part of the economic agent. If you want to introduce taxes, then you have to make sure that the economic agent
Meanwhile, the Ghana Revenue Authority says it has achieved its revenue for the year 2021 despite challenges brought on by COVID-19. Details are captured in the following statements I'll be sharing with you. Now, it's dated 14 January 2022 and GRA achieves 2021 revenue targets. And it reads, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has achieved its revenue targets for 2021. This has been achieved notwithstanding the negative impact of COVID-19 on businesses the world over. The target for 2021 was 57.055 billion Ghana cedis. The actual collection came to 57.32 billion Ghana cedis. This performance represents a growth rate of 26.3% over the 2020 revenue and is the highest annual growth in the last 10 years. Now, they give us a summary of key achievements in 2021. The first one is the revenue target exceeded by 265.39 million Ghana cedis, and that is 0.5%. The second key achievement is the highest ratio of tax to GDP of 13.4% recorded in the last 5 years. And then the third one is highest year-on-year growth of 26.3% recorded also in the last 10 years. And the last achievement was that highest tax buoyancy and efficiency and responsiveness of tax revenue mobilization to growth in the economy of 1.7 recorded. So that is the statement by the GRA. So other stories now. Government says it does not intend to maliciously use ongoing training of journalists across the country for political gains. The first cohort of 250 journalists have ended a 5-day journalism training program in Kumasi under the auspices of the Information Ministry through the support of USAID. Critics say the move is to buy and gag beneficiary journalists, but Deputy Information Minister Fatima Abubakar says the training is to equip beneficiaries to efficiently and professionally execute their responsibilities. Ohimiteria has more in the following reports.
The first ever National Media Capacity Enhancement Program attracted 60 practicing journalists for the training in Kumasi. It followed a series of engagements with stakeholders in the media industry, including National Media Commission, Primpac, GIBA and GJA, leading to the development of curriculum by an independent working group. The Information Ministry, with the support of USAID, are the facilitators of the training, which aims at improving media practice in Ghana. Some radio panelists have suggested the training is an attempt by government to buy journalists. But Deputy Information Minister Fatimatu Abubakar disagrees.
The Honorable Minister, the NMC Chair, the GJ President, the GIJ Rector, all these important people who have put their integrity and their knowledge behind this program only wish for one thing, that journalists, media personalities, all individuals who are within the information sector will educate Ghanaians based on knowledge, based on experience, based on facts, and with a prime principle of objectivity and nothing more. We do not intend to use this platform for any malicious political gain or for any traction to support one party or the other, but to make sure the people who hold the conscience of the country, who have the platforms to educate Ghanaians, will do so properly.
Professor Kwame Nakwansa Edu is the chairman of the working committee. He says the committee was independent, adding the idea of the training has no intent of grooming journalists to promote government business.
The idea has never been to try and convince journalists to follow government business. I mean, all the program seeks to do is to build the capacity of journalists and media workers.
Meanwhile, some participants in the first cohort shared their thoughts on the issue.
The training has become a point of a reminder for us to know that some of the things that we take for granted are serious things, and so we need not to overlook them. It doesn't matter that if even I eat from the same bowl with you and ethically you have gone wrong, I need to tell the story.
It is very rare to see a government supporting journalists to upgrade their skills and come back at them. So with this initiative, it's very rare, and I commend government.
If we want to improve journalism in this country, there's a proper need to continue programs like this. So for me, I think it's been enlightening, it's been very refreshing.
At least 190 more journalists are expected to benefit from the Media Capacity Enhancement Program this year. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyemintewia reporting.
Let's go back to an earlier story where the minority in Parliament says it will not be intimidated to approve bad government policies despite the prosecution of some of its members. Former Deputy Finance Minister Dr. Kasia Atufosen was today present in court for his role in the procurement of some ambulances by the NDC administration. The case was adjourned after an accused person charged alongside Dr. Fosen failed to show up in court. Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, who led a team of MPs to support Dr. Fosen, insists prosecution of NDC MPs will not affect the quest to hold governments accountable.
Dr. Atufosen was joined in court by a number of his colleagues in Parliament, including the Minority Chief Whip Muntaka Mubarak, MP for Elembele, Emmanuel Amakufibua, among others. And the Minority Chief Whip says, as far as they are concerned, they believe that he is being intimidated with the aim of weakening the resolve of the minority to hold government accountable.
Well, I mean, it's nothing more than vindictiveness, trying to intimidate the minority out of their difficulties. But this is not going to change anything. In fact, it makes us even more resolute. Because we know that, oh, okay, the game is to intimidate, to frustrate, and to think that they can weaken our spirit. No, they can't. In fact, they are rather strengthening and gluing us together. Because you will draw speakers this thing, you are bringing Atufosen to court, you are charging Dominic Enyini because of Zuarungu market, that has to do with this assembly. You are bringing Kwesin, criminalizing him when he wrote a letter to electoral commission before he filed. You are charging Akotia MP. You know, you can just see the frustration. And it's so shameful that they forget that there's a democracy. And unfortunately, this is being led by so-called learned.
So as far as
for now we are concerned, no, but believe me, they are rather strengthening us, because now they are making us even glued together. Now we know that every one of us is in danger. So it's better we glue together. And I can tell them, they can choose to withdraw all the security that follow all the 137 of us. They can choose to even take all our salary because they think they are in the executive. But believe me,
it is rather going to strengthen us. But they remember, nothing lasts forever.
But in terms of your numbers in Parliament, I mean, this could potentially, there'll be court dates.
How? I mean, I can bet you that he will always be in Parliament first before he will come to the court. That one we can show you that he will always be in Parliament before, because he's still the representative of his people. He's not going to neglect that responsibility to be in court. He will always be in Parliament before he comes to court. So it is for the court to decide what time they will sit, so that he'll be able to participate, play his role as the representative of the people. I don't think any of them is more important than the other. Yes, so he will represent his people before he comes to court.
The AG's office had earlier issued a statement indicating that the prosecution of the MPs as a result of crimes that are alleged to have taken place, and not the case that they intend to intimidate the minority front. The case itself did not come off because one other accused person, Seth Amenema, did not show up in court. He is a former chief director at the Ministry of Health. We understand that he has a condition that requires that he seeks medical attention, and so he was not present in court, and so the case was adjourned to the 18th of January 2022. And so that is when the charges will be formally read against the MP. He'll be given the opportunity to respond. Then afterwards, the issue of bail will be discussed. Reporting for Journeys on the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
The quest to avert the reoccurrence of the tragedy which claimed the lives of 6 KG children in 2017 has revived the communal labor spirits among residents of Breman Jamara in the central region. As work progresses at the community DA basic school sites under the Multimedia Group's classroom project, dozens of community members who have committed to providing labor in support of the project are honouring their words to ensure timely completion of the 3-unit classroom block. There's more in this following report.
Led by their chiefs and elders, the local assembly, dozens of the community members converged at the construction site to dig the foundation for work to start. While the men dug for the foundation works, mixed concrete and molded blocks, the women fetched water among doing other auxiliary jobs to ensure progress of each day's work on site. A total of 51,000 Ghana cedis has been raised from a target of 155,000 Ghana cedis for 2 different classroom projects. 80% of materials needed for work to begin at the Breman Jamara site has been assembled out of the initial 51,000 Ghana cedis mobilized. With the help of an excavator and a tipper truck, the laterites required for the molding of the hydroform blocks were moved to site on the 30th of December 2021. Other materials including cement, 6-inch blocks, sand, chippings, iron rod and wood have also been assembled. Residents could not hold back their joy. They commended the Multimedia Group for committing to helping them rebuild the dilapidated school block.
I'm a assemblyman in my Jamara electoral area. Now, sending another nippon for it. You are a fire school down every year. You are getting you to come up and send the Methodist one. And I say, I'm back Multimedia for to one moment. They have come to site. I'm the material.
I am the assemblyman for the Jamara electoral area. The Multimedia Group has come to site with the needed materials to build a school for us. We are grateful to Multimedia for the project. We hope it is completed on time.
I am very excited after seeing the materials that will be used to construct the new school block.
The project engineer and hydroform technology expert Samuel Kofi Agbenyega is optimistic. All things being equal, work will be completed on schedule.
If we don't have or we don't face any harsh weather conditions, latest by 1st week of February, we should be done with the project. So we are grateful. I mean, we are all supporting And then those of you who are also bringing in the support, we urge that continue bringing them because we need it now to complete it within the estimated time.
Progress of work requires additional support, both in cash and in kind. The Jamrahene Nana Fusu III, expressing appreciation for work done so far, emphasized the need for more support.
I stand here on behalf of the Jamra people that we are so grateful to them for helping us in this manner. We will continue to ask humbly to everybody to also come and help us.
The classroom project is supported by the Israeli Embassy, Forestry Commission, the Planned City Extension Project, DBS roofing sheets, and all who have so far donated to support the project. The Multimedia's Classroom Project is brought to you in partnership with the Star Ghana Foundation and the West Africa Civil Society Institute under the Giving for Change project, with funding from the Dutch Foreign Affairs Ministry. The Classroom Project, promoting social justice through philanthropy. Amafa Ewenam Atiamwa Eli for Joy News. Brima Jamra.
For support, send your donations to MTN Momo number 059 303 8832. That is 059 303 8832, the multimedia group Joy FM, or you can call 030 2211 You can call 030 2211 You're still watching Joy News today. Let's do other stories. Management of the university says it will, in the coming weeks, make more rooms available to students. According to management, the rooms were acquired off campus through its off-campus committee set up in 2020 to search for alternative living spaces for students while the university works on a more permanent solution to its accommodation deficit. The university has nearly 60,000 students and less than 10,000 bed spaces. Annually, it's a struggle for students to secure a bed. But management is looking at salvaging the situation. We'll hear from them shortly. First, though, listen to my colleague Manuel Kranting's report detailing the struggles of students in finding an accommodation on campus.
Long faces and outright despair. The most obvious expressions won by the many frustrated students who, just like their mates from the year before and the ones before that, cannot find accommodation after gaining admission into the University of Ghana.
I was happy when I had the admission to study at this university because it was my dream university. Yeah, everything was okay.
Daniel Elijah Chun is a newly admitted student at the university. Unlike anything he expected in his first few days in college, what was to be his dream school is gradually becoming his nemesis. He's only one of the many freshmen who are struggling to secure a spot in the limited residential facilities on campus.
The accommodation portal was opened exactly at 9 a.m. as yesterday morning. So I was online around 8:50 a.m. waiting for the portal to be open so that I can be fast about getting the accommodation. So by 9:02 a.m. I was on the website. Any hall I choose, there will be there's no room available.
Now we can hear from the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nana Aba Apia Amfo, who says management has secured some living spaces off campus for students and will be made available to students in the coming week.
Current bed capacity is about 25,000, and our students on Legon, Kolebu campus maybe more than 40,000, maybe 45,000. So there is a huge bed deficit. We are taking various steps to ensure that we resolve these in the very near future. You may be aware that when I was Pro-Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, there was an off-campus accommodation team put in place, which included students. they have done a lot of work, and the current Pro-Vice Chancellor informs me that tomorrow, I think Friday, they are currently working with the UGCS to make the information available online, because the committee went to inspect facilities for those who indicated interest when we advertise. So I believe that in the coming week, the information of available off-campus accommodation spots will be made to the students so that they can take advantage of those opportunities. Meanwhile, we are engaging various private sector participants so that we can increase our accommodation stock in the near future. If I remember correctly, there were about more than 30 or close to 30 facilities that they identified and screened that they met the requirements that we had put out there in different locations around Legon.
Car detailing is a job dominated by men and one seen as an expensive luxury for many vehicle owners. One young woman is hoping to break through into the industry and build Ghana's first all-female car detailing shop. My colleague Justice Bedu went to meet her.
I personally like motorbikes. I like motorbikes a lot. I would pick a motorbike over a car 1,000 times. So sometimes when you're coming, and I work with time, for me not to get here late, I have to take a motorbike. I'm Faisal Naila Ologo.
3 years ago, Naila was at the crossroads in her life. She had just come out of senior high school, no job, no money to move on to university, and even if she had, she didn't make the grades enough to get her into the course of her dream.
The goal was to actually find something that I would find happiness in doing. I found myself in the automobile industry.
In 3 years, this young woman has gone from an amateur in this business to detailing some of the most expensive cars you can have. Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, Benz, BMW, you name it.
How would they see a male and give the work to a female? It's being believed that when the work is being given to a man, they do it much better. Okay? Because it's a male-dominating, world, and a female being in that position, doing that kind of work, okay, it's not so easy for them to easily trust and then just give the work to you. They don't trust the process until the work is delivered.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics show that only 1 in 10 people in the automotive repair and maintenance industry is a woman. The situation is not very different in Ghana. Naila wants to help change the trend.
An example is like somebody telling me, how would they see a male and give it to a female? You understand me? But for that same reason, somebody would actually give it to you. The person would freely give it to you. Do you understand me? So somebody would actually come with this reason, and for that same reason, somebody would actually give you that work. I'm looking at working with a lot of females. It has to be females everywhere you pass in my company. Okay, because I see a lot of potential in that. So there's a lot we can do. We don't only have to be selling, sitting inside the office. There are so many things we female can actually do. Okay, and these are one of the things. So I really want to motivate females into getting into this business because I would like to work with just females one day.
Naila Faisal has now gained admission into the University of Ghana after bettering her grades while on this job, and now hopes that her dream would blaze the trail for many more women to enter this industry. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Accra.
You're still watching Joy News today. Up next is business.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana is calling on government to immediately reconsider its decision to indefinitely suspend the implementation of the review of the 50% benchmark reduction policy. According to its executive secretary, Salom Kwame, local processing capacity outweighs demand. Speaking to Joy Business, he explained that thousands of jobs will be lost if the suspension lingers.
We think, especially for the oil palm sector, we have the local production outweighs the demand of the people. So we don't see the reason why government will give a discount or a reduction to import of oil palm products into the country, whilst there are companies or industries that are producing the same product in Ghana, and the product that they are producing is more than the consumption of the general public. So that is why we are calling for an exemption. If this policy is not reversed, or if oil palm and its product is not exempted from the policy, there's going to be a lot of loss of jobs. That one we can assure you. And two biggest mills or refineries in Ghana right now have shut down their refinery. And once the refineries are shut down, meaning people are going to do what? Will be going home very soon.
Now, industry players in the tourism sector are unhappy about the impact of the frequent fluctuations in fuel prices on the operations. According to President of the Tour Operators Union of Ghana, Alisa Osei Asamoah, there are ongoing discussions with stakeholders to cushion industry players. Speaking to Joy Business after the inauguration of the board for the Chamber for Tourism Industry Ghana, she called on government to stabilize fuel prices. There's more in this report. A recent report by the Institute for Energy Security predicted that fuel prices are likely to hit 7 cedis per litre, as pump prices are expected to increase between 30 pesos to 40 pesos a litre. Industry players in the tourism sector are lamenting the impact of the constant rise in fuel prices on the operations. Here's President of Tour Operators Union of Ghana, Alisa Osei Asamoah.
You know, the fuel prices affected us, but the fortunate thing is we have negotiated with them, and we are still negotiating with people, car rentals and VIPs. So what happened was the increment, the percentage wasn't too much. For the general public, for example, if the percentage is 5%, we were able to maintain at least 1%. So the impact wasn't great. But at the end of the day, it really affected us. That's why most of us who have done the costing already, but we swallowed it. So we are hoping that it will be stable. They will stabilize it, that it won't affect all of us.
Meanwhile, the Chamber for Tourism Industry Ghana has inaugurated a new board. Speaking after the ceremony, Chief Executive Emmanuel Treku urged the public to patronize local tourism.
It's a milestone in the institution of the Chamber and also the tourism fraternity in Ghana. Of course, there should be other management or present management practices in what we do. So it's timely we have an astute board that will steer the affairs of the Chamber. COVID has really done us a disservice, but then we will not say it's bad. It's time that now we promote our domestic tourism, and this is where we need all and sundry to get on board. At least we all travel to funerals. If you attend a funeral, make a time to visit a location or a site in your community.
Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Jones Nelson, stated the industry is bouncing back, but indicated that more needs to be done to revive the sector following the advent of COVID-19.
Gradually, we are picking up the bits and pieces. You remember
a year of return in 2019, so that brought in a lot of people. People also cashed in, so it increased the tourism revenues as well as the numbers. In 2019, we have 3 billion. We cashed in 3 billion into the economy, and then coupled with a corresponding 1.1 million tourists. But just as COVID came in, if you compare even last year, 2020 to 2021, you realize that we are picking up the bits and pieces. Let us continue to bounce back as a tourism industry, because the tourism industry is one of the backbones of economies in the world.
President of Blue Crest College, Dr. Anand Agrawal, disclosed projects the school is embarking on to promote tourism.
There are a lot of peculiar things and strengths of the Ghana, which we need to promote, which will help in development of tourism further. So we have a very strong school called School of Fashion and Design in Blue Crest University College. And African fashion, and especially the Ghanaian fashion and the things like kente, are very popular here. Tie and dye are very popular across the region, not only in Africa, but also in other countries. And if the tourism is strong, we can actually get exchange students to Ghana in large numbers. That will promote tourism, that will also promote the strengths of Ghana in the world. So we are planning to have a collaboration with CTI on these fronts.
More business news coming up at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Up next, sports. Do stay tuned.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News. Today is the start of a new year, and there are so many plans made ahead of the year for some in the entertainment industry. Speaking to Joy News, gospel musician Diana Hamilton has outlined her plans for the year.
I want to let everyone know that you deserve to be in 2022. That's why you're here. And so greater things are about to happen. But we have to be grateful to God for 2021, for what He did for all of us, the gift of life, every opportunity He brought our way, the fact that we didn't miss those opportunities. For me personally, I'm just grateful for the gift of life, the gift of family, the gift of ministry, the gift of every song that God blessed me in the year with.
Let's move to 2022. Your expectations for 2022. You've already started, your thing. You've been here, you've been there, going to churches, ministering. I'm sure you've written a lot of songs that will be released this year. Diana Hamilton Experience, now Awake Experience, is coming up. What are we expecting this year?
Oh, we can plan, but it's God that will execute it and let it come to pass. But yes, we have planned. We have planned. We've written songs. We're in the studio. We have released a Radiya, which is doing amazing. And then Awake Experience of Diana Hamilton is coming on the 13th of February in Accra and the 20th of February in Kumasi. Promises to be a great night. If you've ever been to Experience, you know that the present is always better than the previous, which means 2022 is just going to be super amazing. Obviously, we've changed venues.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why. I mean, you had to move it. The Perez Dome is huge.
Woman of faith, everybody.
From Diana Hamilton, highlight musician Kofi Kinata says he wants to impact his society and fans positively. According to the rapper, people must do away with the negative perception associated with stardom. He spoke on E-Vibes.
We have this perception that when you are singing and it's not gospel, you have to behave some way. You have to drink some stuff. You have to be high on some level. You have to. Yeah, but they will see me normal as Kofi Kinata, dressed up like the way any normal boy would dress up, but I'm the star. Yeah. So yeah, I'm telling them that you shouldn't dress in a certain way before you be a star or before people will listen to your songs. Or to be a musician, you don't have to do certain things. You can be other way, but maybe but on your no. Or try on your at least I'm giving them a musician who is very conscious, who is making impact, but or try on your or no more shade. We feel but Mali or high and son or try some maybe, but okay, Kofi Kinata is also doing well. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't dress some way. Like,
on that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today. Over to you, Maps.
On that note, we end Joy News Today. For more news, you can log into myjoyonline.com. My name is Mapito CBD.